your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. SJ, still go. Gary Fife, would you get us? Let's see, what else do I need to say? Oh yeah, Mvskoke Radio, Mabu Hedgewedskis. As you can see, I'm still fumbling on my Mvskoke occasionally, but I'm getting better, I think. We have a special guest here this week, probably the last time we get to do this to him, so I'm going to get as savage as I can later on. We're welcoming our Principal Chief, James Floyd, here in the studio for this program. Welcome, Chief Floyd. We appreciate you making time there. Is it getting busier as you're getting closer to the change of administrations?
First of all, let me say hello, SJ, everyone, and happy holidays, everybody. Well, the workload is continuous, so it is busy, but it's what I call good busy, so everything's good, and I'm just glad to be a part of it, and me and Second Chief just continuing to do everything we can every day until we're no longer in office.
When does that transition officially take place for the curious folks out there?
I believe the new administration comes in office the first Monday in January, so I think that is January 6th.
Okay, so they'll have somebody else to blame then.
Or hopefully give credit to.
Yeah, I'm going to say the flip side to that coin. Well, let me say right off the top of our head, it's always been a pleasure to talk with you. I appreciate your being quite candid with me, no matter where my questions might have wandered off to. But, that's a refreshing change from, other folks being in charge there. I guess let me ask you your thoughts reflecting back. If you had to do it again, would you? What was it like? How do you feel? A lot of stuff wrapped up there.
Well, first of all, the term goes quickly, and I think if there was a redo on this, what I would work on is to try to get more things in place earlier than the last time. I think that I had a great relationship with the National Council. They've been very supportive, and that helped. But what I call some of the bigger rocks that need to be moved, it's just hard. It takes some time, and sometimes it takes more time than I had thought. And so as as Second Chief and I prepare to leave, there's some things that I wished we could have gotten, at least further down the road. But we're continuing to work on it, every day. I think there's a little bit of progress being made on things, and so if I can just put the foundation in place for the next 4 years, then hopefully they'll follow up and conclude some of these things that we've been working on.
In the last few days that you have, is there anything there that you can succeed in getting in place before you move on?
Well, we continue to work on economic development, and those things seem to take a while. As I'm sitting here, we have a meeting going on with a private business entity that's really wanting to team up with the tribe, and this could provide jobs to at least 150 people, and I would really like to see that project materialize and succeed, because I think it would help our citizens. I think it'd be jobs they'd love to have, and it's just that just things take a while, and we do have a tentative proposal from them, and we want to work on that some more, and I'd really like to see us sign something. Whether or not that will be me, I don't know. I kind of think it probably won't, because there's still some things we need to have reviewed, and the National Council have to approve that. So probably in January. We also have the Tribal Utility Authority that we've been working on about 3 years, and that legislation is ready to go over in January. What that will do is at least set the groundwork for an authority to be in place to help us work with utility companies in gas, water, electric, allow us to have ventures into wind generation, solar power, things that we've been wanting to do. Again, that's another one. I wish we had it a year and a half ago, and we could, have seen that. People would have seen the, tangible results of that. But at least we have the utility authority in place. That legislation hopefully be approved in January, and then, it will start small. But I think what the tribe will see is savings in our utility cost, avenues for us to pursue alternative energy sources, and potentially some jobs later on.
Well, let me pursue that just for a second here. Now, if you were to look and find a project in alternative utility energy production, have you got a thought of where it might be? Like when I drive up north, we always go through Kansas and see farms that are windmill farms. And then, of course, further up, there's the hydro electric utilities and that sort of thing. I don't know, you look in any particular direction, or you just need to get this foundation?
Well, the group that we've been working with for about the past 2 years have looked at locations on tribal land that we have and done studies, the cost effectiveness of and the return of investment on wind generation versus solar. And as you might guess, wind is actually more prevalent here and is more cost effective for the nation. And we could put that, the southern part of the Creek Nation, south of I-40, lends itself to the best locations for that. What the utility authority would do is allow us to generate electricity and then put it on the grid. Mm-hmm. So right now, if we had wind generation and let's say that we didn't consume everything that we had, it would waste. It wouldn't be able to be put on the grid. The utility authority allows us the same standing of the rural electric cooperative and others, so we could just sit down and negotiate how we would, sell excess energy to these companies, or to get some type of discount on the consumption that we have, based on a trade-off of what we generate versus a discount on electricity that we'd buy from them.
It sounds nice, so we make a few bucks off of the wind that comes sweeping down the plain.
Right. So we've got we have locations in mind, and they've done studies to look at what could be placed where and how it could kind of be non-invasive. So we could still, if we had it on the ranch, we could still run cattle and they coexist, and we develop energy that could either power what we have, or excess could be sold back to a power company.
Be careful of the birds.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that always pops up when these projects comes to fruition. I mean, every time I've seen a project pop up, somebody said, well, you're going to kill a lot of birds, thousands of birds. And, well, yeah, there are some, but I don't think it's thousands.
Well, the folks that we had even had done counts and studies on the ones that actually, do get sacrificed, I guess, in the generation of electricity. It's actually very few.
Yeah.
So I know that the stories are out there, that's a big danger. But when you look at it, the actual numbers that they have are small. But it is an issue that people need to be aware of, and that we need to make sure that we address, and not put it in a byway lane or something like that where they have migrating birds.
Yeah, and Fish and Wildlife says we can keep the eagle feathers in case there is that situation now. Well, I tell you what, now you've been delivering reports on the nation every quarter, and you've got a summary with you today, so maybe let's take a few minutes and look at that one.
Well, let me first start out by saying that all the quarterly reports, I'm required to give quarterly reports to the National Council. The last one I did was in October. We've posted every one of the quarterly reports under my administration on our website, so you can go to mcn.gov and I think it's under documents, and there's every quarterly report from the first quarter till the most recent quarter. So any person can go there and see the quarterly report. We wanted to make sure we did that so people had information. The reports are, we work to try to make those as concise as possible, but there's still more than 30 pages each quarter, and I think it reflects a lot of good things that people have done. But in terms of in looking at the quarterly report, there's some things that, particularly in this last quarter, that we showed that we're very proud of. When you look at the permanent fund and its growth over the last 4 years, it's grown $116 million. The permanent fund is a permanent endowment for the nation, and there's legislation that outlines its usage. And I think that what we have done is really tried to work to use that fund in a way that it grows the best possible way, and to see it grow the rate that it did has really helped us and positioned us for the future, because any big commercial enterprise or endeavor that we wanted to undertake in the future, we can point to the permanent fund as our endowment that's permanent and say this is what we have. And so if they have any questions about our financial viability in terms of a loan or a bond or something like that, they can see that we have one of the larger ones in the country. So I'm very proud of that. So that's grown well, and hopefully will continue to grow. I think one area in economic development where we've kind of taken a little bit of a hit this year is because of the flood and the gaming revenue, which is down from this time last year, and it's going to take us a while to make that up. And so I think everybody needs to be aware that what the National Council funds from the revenue that comes from gaming is down from last year at this time, and will continue to stay down for probably a few more quarters till we can make that difference up, because we were closed for I think 31 days or something like that at River Spirit, and that's our largest generator of revenue, and so that's kind of the opposite side of where we want to be. But the good news is we recovered from that, reopened, things are going well, but you still had that loss of revenue during that period of time.
Did you have a figure for that loss?
I think that the dividend to the nation was down, let's see, from the last quarter, from fiscal year 2018 to fiscal year 2019 in the fourth quarter, was over $7 million. So, that is a hit.
Yeah.
And like I said, that funds some of our programs, and so as we go into hopefully finalizing the 2020 budget in the month of December and getting that passed, it'll be reflected in there somewhat. Certainly in 2021, it'll also impact that, because that's revenue that we don't have at the moment. So I think also just the growth in employees of the nation. When we came in, the financial viability of the nation was tenuous at best. In some places it was pretty bad. So
I think that's being kind.
That's it's turned around, and our healthcare system has gone from one that we had to have a bailout from the National Council, but we've overcome that. I think we had to lay off like 100 people, but we've since grown and replaced that number with even more employees than we had previously. So I think having to make that adjustment when we did the first year of the administration has paid off, and the billings and collections in the healthcare system is greater than it's ever been. And we have a couple settlements pending with the Indian Health Service that'll help us. We're in good position, up to date on any payments we have for the loans for Okema and Eufaula, and hope to pay them off ahead of time. And opened up the Eufaula clinic and have more jobs down there now than ever. And Mvskoke Creek Nation's the largest employer in McIntosh County, so we want to continue to grow that as well. But we have turned the corner there. I think some things that people may not see, but if you look in the quarterly reports of the past, one of the things that we've been able to do is just be more efficient and be better stewards of the money that we had. And I'll point to one very quickly, and that's within information technology and our phone system. The old phone system that we had has been replaced. We were looking at a cost of, right around $3 million to do that. But through cost savings, renegotiating and consolidating accounts with AT&T and now looking at possibly going to another vendor, we were able to save enough money to pay for the entire phone system. So we had a swing of about $4 million there, and that saved an appropriation of the council by about almost $3 million, and we funded that ourselves out of the savings that we had with as I spoke earlier about the utility authority, by bundling our utilities and having one large contract and new digital meters. We can control our cost and get a better rate from the companies, and maybe even just go to one as opposed to several that we use now, and that'll save us money in the future. So I think we've been concentrating on a lot of those things and just trying to be more efficient. We saw the same in the healthcare system, and by being more efficient, it allowed us to bring on more providers. We have board-certified physicians in the emergency rooms now, and opened more clinics, got more specialists. A lot of those things have come both from increased revenue and appropriation, but also from the fact that they're running more efficiently. So, I think there's other examples as well, but, I can point to information technology and healthcare as two that really turned the corner and have done some great things. But they're maybe not the most visible things, but the staff there give all the credit to, because they've done an amazing job in helping us.
Yeah, that was quite a challenge. And what was it, 68 million bucks in the hole when you came on?
It's about that number, yes, sir. Yeah. So I can report that the healthcare system's in the black, in each month that we're doing better. So that's great.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I presume there's more of that report there that you care to share?
Yeah, there's, I always talk about this, but, as we sit downtown Okmulgee, we were able to use historic tax credits to restore the council house. Mm-hmm. And, I've had several meetings there in the last month with groups that have come and met. And so it's now open. When you look even the street here, the highway project that's going through on 6th Street, we hope to participate in that and have stamped concrete in front of the council house that would be more reflective of the historic nature of that area. The visitor center, we now have funds for that, so the Sharps building across the street on 6th Street, within the next couple of months you'll see that beginning to be remodeled, and so hopefully within the next year the visitor center will be open, so another venue downtown that we can house collections that people can come to, and so I think those things have been built now, and so I'm really glad to see that progress being made there. The master plan, we continue to work on that. It's one of those things. I wish I was further along on that than we are, but I think now we got the properties in place. Also with the Tribal and Veterans Cemetery, we're in the process of getting the board name for that to be an advisory board for the next year as we get a grant from the Department of Veterans Affairs for the Veterans section. Now,
is that going to be the future for the golf course?
The cemetery is going to be on ground that's west of the Omniplex, west of the railroad tracks.
All right.
We were able to purchase about 39 acres there a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. From an estate, and just perfect timing, perfect land that we need. So we've now had an architect go in and do some preliminary renderings on that, and so the advisory committee will work on making it like the Mvskoke Creek Nation National Cemetery for both veterans and citizens. And so I hope that within the next year we can see that being built out, and that will save people money, give them a permanent place, and it's projected that serve our needs for the next 100 years. So I'm glad to see those things transpired and a lot of that work being done over the last quarter.
I feel like I hope there'll be a time when we won't need those kinds of things. At cemeteries for veterans, we got a better solution to finding answers to our problems than going to war. Anyway, that's kind of wandering off into the ozone a little bit there. Some more of that report you'd care to share?
I'd like to also highlight roads, because we've done in partnership with the counties and the state and the federal highways, most recently at Mission Road and the Loop, redoing that intersection. I think that was the fourth most dangerous intersection in the state of Oklahoma.
Gosh.
We've got that rebuilt using federal roads money, tribal funds, state and county money. As you drive by there now, it's been redone. It's more accessible. I drive it every day and drive by there, and I've not seen an accident there in months. So I think that's a good sign. When we look at the number of roads that we've done throughout the Creek Nation, that number continues to grow. We've got a plan for next year. The roads that are going to be resurfaced or surfaced for the first time are already designed, and so we're ready to go on those. And I think the bridge project by the Concharty Methodist Church, that was just a chronic problem, and we had an innovative solution there with the modular bridge that is now going to serve as a model for us. And bridges can be put in just a matter of a couple days and at a fraction of the cost, and be a better bridge where more water capacity going through there. So hopefully that's a model we can use to begin to turn the direction on some of these county roads or private roads that serve the churches and the grounds, and get those to where they're not going to be a problem after every rainstorm.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me is there anything else there that you want to highlight before we move on to something?
I just think that again, I want to give thanks to all the staff, the folks who worked hard in every department, and I wish I had time to cover all of them. We could be here and talk about it the whole hour, but I want to give thanks to them, and then most recently being able to give them the incentive for I think the third straight year, and to help them out, and just to say thank you for all the work that they've done. I think we wouldn't have this success without all these individual contributions by people, and when you add those all up, it's huge. And so I think it's something that we can reflect on, say, job well done. They've done a great job.
Well, let me, on behalf of the staff, let me say thank you. That came at a time when I know that finances can really be stressed this time of year. Taxes, Uncle Sam's going to be knocking on our door, and where do we find that? Let's move on to some more of the current events that you've had to deal with, perhaps not directly, but still occurring under your administration here. Let's go to Disneyland on the Potomac and talk about the U.S. Supreme Court. Murphy v. Carpenter, we had any ideas on when they're going to finally take that one up? It's been delayed, twice now?
Yeah, it's been delayed. We don't have a date at this point. I think it's probably going to be late spring when they take it up. They, they set their calendar. They will continue to hear cases, I think, through May. So their calendars, I believe, through March at this point. So we're probably looking April or May when they take that up. In the meantime, we continue to look at solutions that we can have to kind of temper some of the concern people have about that, different industries and citizens and non-Indians, and everybody thinking that they're going to get affected one way or another. The case really is a capital murder conviction appeal case, a death sentence appeal case, and so it doesn't give us any more property or anything like that, but being able to clearly state what it is and what it isn't, both in Washington, D.C. and here in Okmulgee or elsewhere within the Creek Nation or in Oklahoma City, it takes a lot of time. So the Attorney General's office has been working on this, since I think 2017, when this first case was first heard in the federal district court. So we'll continue to work on that, and I think that I feel optimistic about that. But I'll be a private citizen at that point. But I think we're in good position there. Okay.
My impression was the state was digging in its heels there, and we're going to have a bit of a tough battle there.
Well, I think that the door remains open for talks with the state and education. because a good part of that is communicating, like I said, what the case is and what it is not.
Okay.
And just yesterday I was in Oklahoma City and got to see a couple of the secretaries that work under the governor, and just been able to have a conversation and talk about things we're engaged with the state of Oklahoma, so that they can continue. I think it's a good thing. It's a good sign. We always look at the bright side of things, and I always remind them that at the end of the day, besides being tribal citizens, we're citizens of the state of Oklahoma. So, if anybody has an investment in this state, it's us, because we got it in two different ways. So,
we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
Let me interrupt you there. Now, when you're in Oklahoma City, did you have a chance to talk to Ms. Billy?
Let's see. It's been a couple of weeks since I've seen her. Didn't see her yesterday.
The Secretary of Indian Affairs.
Right, Lisa Billy, and so she comes and meets with the Intertribal Council. I'm sure she'll have a report in January, but she's just a phone call away, and I think she's got a very tough job. And so, we want to make sure that we stay in communication with her, so she carries a message to the governor and the other cabinet secretaries about, the good things that the tribes are doing.
Well, not being privy to dealing with people in those high-flying circles, we really haven't heard much from her. I've been kind of watching to see if she would surface anywhere during the discussions of several of the issues, but we've heard nothing from her office. How does that strike you, I guess?
Well, I think that it's a reflection of the way the governor's established his governance, I'll put it that way. I think he uses the cabinet members kind of exclusively for the topic he wants to work on. And so when it's an Indian topic, Lisa Billy be involved, but in terms of if it's just a commerce issue or labor issue or something like that, she may not be involved, but I think she should be.
Sure,
and I know that she has to kind of battle to stay in the picture a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, I'd rather have the principal chief's job than her job, to be honest about it, because she's got a tough internal role that she has to provide, and at the same time provide objective counsel to the governor. And she's battling other secretaries in their time and their messages as well. So, I think a lot of what she's doing is just internal in the cabinet and with the governor.
Well, I hope she was aware of that when she took the job. I mean, geez. Well, while we're there dealing with the state government, we've got kind of an impasse here over gaming compacts. And I know yourself and the Intertribal Council have a campaign going. This United Oklahoma, is that the kind of the PR front there for them?
Well, it's a platform for citizens throughout the state of Oklahoma to talk about what tribes have done for them.
Sure. Okay.
It does. Our intention was to have a message out there that's reflective of all the good the tribes have done throughout the state of Oklahoma. And you get people from Woodward in the northwest part to Idabel in the southeast. All these people have stories to tell. This was a way to just get them to sit down and tell their story. And so it's not anything that we're really guiding and telling them, here's a message you need to give. It's their message. We're just providing the venue for them to do that. And it's proved to be very successful in being a message that all of Oklahoma needs to hear.
I think so too. It'd remind them, hey, we are here, we're part of the community, and contribute significantly where it counts. Well, while we're there, I guess that compact issue has the potential for being kind of a divisive one, or one that would stir up some ire on both sides. I guess, can you give us a status report? The governor wants to push for renegotiations and up the revenues that the state receive. The tribes, many of the tribes are saying, no, wait a minute now, we made a deal here, and this is what it says, and you guys are doing pretty good by us anyway.
Right. So you go back to the great things you talked about in the messages. We established the United for Oklahoma, which is united for all the tribes as well. So we've been holding meetings on a monthly basis, and I think the last meeting, we had 32 or 33 tribes and tribal leaders in attendance. So that's great. I mean, I've been around since the 70s, and we didn't have this unity back then. We do now. We have a very compelling reason to be united, and that's because of the compact dispute. And our position is that the compacts automatically renew, and we will continue to take that position. And if the governor wants us to negotiate any other aspects supplemental to our compact, then let's see a proposal which is outlined in the compact of how to submit a proposal to the nations, and we've yet to see one that's very descriptive.
Right. Okay. Well, excuse me. Let's take a break and wet our whistles again, and we'll be back with more of our discussion with Chief Floyd here on Mvskoke Radio. So stay with us.
Get ready, hockey fans, because the Tulsa Oilers are back at the BOK this Friday night. And it's ladies' night. The puck drops at 7:05 when the Oilers face off against the Fort Wayne Comets. Don't miss the excitement on the ice. Buy tickets today by phone or text at 918-632-7825. That's 918-632-7825. Or online at TulsaOilers.com. TulsaOilers.com. Tulsa Oilers hockey. Fun for the entire family.
It's quite a sport. We hope you all will be checking that out and attending those games. We're here on Mvskoke Radio here today talking with Principal Chief James Floyd. Probably the last time we'll get to do this unless I find something else to beat you up with. But we are talking about some of the major issues here, and of course we were left off with gaming and compacts. So right now, I guess, what is the status? Are we waiting for another set of talks to come up, or is there any legal action? Where are we right now then?
I think that's a good description of where we are. It's kind of in some unknown territory right now. We've not heard anything more from the governor since the last letter I think that we sent about a month ago, reiterating our positions. Overall, I remain optimistic about it. I think that we can have these compacts renew, and then, if they want to put a proposal on specifics, we can always do, some type of supplemental agreement to the existing compact. We're just kind of waiting, again, just to see what it is that they want to propose, and is that something that we want to undertake in discussions with the state. But again, the compacts will automatically renew, and we feel very strongly about that. I think the law's on our side, so let's get that out of the way, get that understood and agreed to by the tribes in the state, and then move on to what other issues they may have.
Mm-hmm. You're prepared to say no and do legal battle if you have to there?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. I do. And I think all the tribes feel the same way.
Okay. Let me stick one in here that's close to my heart, and hopefully we can see an end to it, and that's, of course, free press. It's been quite a battle. Sometimes our staff felt like we were under assault. It's good, then it's bad, and then it's good, and then it's bad, and kind of repeal back and forth. And just speaking for my colleagues, we're here to do the best job we can for our people. But we're going to see any more of that. I understand the council, of course, is looking at proposals still, and there are still some feeling that they need to be in charge of us.
Well, as last I left it was that, I submitted a bill to the council. It didn't pass out of committee, but my intentions of doing that was to bring back in legislation what kind of both sides have been talking about, I guess, in both sides of the argument, I guess, on the free press, or the rights to speak out. But it didn't pass committee, so I was surprised about that, because in a sense what I was trying to do is just solve the problem, and here I am with basically no axe to grind on this matter, because I won't be here. But I wanted to make sure that I tried to make a bill that would solve the issues that everybody was talking about, so that it wouldn't be on the desk of somebody else that followed me. But it didn't make it out of committee, so that's kind of where it is in terms of the daily work. I know that there's a lot of discussion, and things are being suppressed and all. There's really not. My hands aren't into the media. I've talked about what my hands are into. I've got a lot of things to work on, and I support the media and what they do and being independent and not interfering with them. But some people would tell you differently, and I don't know where they're coming from. But I think it's working pretty well at the present time. They've got the editorial board in place, and hopefully the editorial board is being utilized to assist and respond to any questions that media has, and help guide them, because that's what it was intended to do.
Well, I don't mind saying I agree with you there. We've never seen your hand come down in our direction as far as what we do. It has come from other places, but sort of formally, informally, whatever. We hope we can reach a point where this is no longer a discussion, that people let us do our job the way we're supposed to do. And we understand there will be people that will gripe at us saying, we're controlled by blank, blank, blank. Yeah, no, we're not controlled by anybody except our own standards and ethics. Anyway, before I start preaching on that one any further, let's move on to some of the other kind of topics that have been in our minds and in the press sometimes. The opioid suit. Now, we saw a decision in favor of the plaintiffs. Where does the tribe fit into that, and what are we looking?
So with the opioid case, there's kind of two parts of it. The one that the state of Oklahoma, through the Attorney General's office, sued opioid manufacturers and distributors and drug companies and drug stores, and they got a settlement there. The Mvskoke Creek Nation, and I think none of the tribes in the state of Oklahoma were part of that suit. However, the separate complaint that has more than 2,000 city, counties, and states, municipalities, all these groups, we are party to that, and Mvskoke Creek Nation and I think the Blackfeet of Montana are the two what they call bellwether tribes. And so recently the Attorney General, Kevin Dellinger, was allowed to present before the federal district court in Cleveland, Ohio. After that time, then we were allowed to be in the settlement discussions, and so at this point we're the only tribe that sits at the table to try to craft some type of agreement with several companies that have gone bankrupt. And so I think they did go into bankruptcy to try to avoid a judgment through the court. But the Judge Posner in Cleveland, has allowed Mvskoke Creek Nation and a representative from Blackfeet Nation to be at the table. So I know that the Attorney General will be in New York next week on further negotiations on that. I feel very good that there will be a settlement there that will go to all tribes, and we just don't know the amount right now. I think where it would help Mvskoke Creek Nation is that there would be money for drug treatment, as well as education. It'd be similar to what the tobacco settlement was, 10 years ago, but it'll be for the opioid. I think the reason that Mvskoke Creek Nation's case went forward among some of the others who were trying to get into that position where we are is the fact that we had a good data system in our healthcare department. Electronic medical records can provide some good information and show, just how many people were treated, how many deaths we had, how many injuries we had. And so we were able to put our picture together very clearly, and I think that worked to our advantage and moved us up. And so it's to the point now where, our Attorney General is sitting at the table with, representatives from probably 2,000 other groups. There's not that many people at the table, but, they have representation. He's a representation for all the tribal nations, and talking about the share that should go to tribes.
Has anyone ever talked about a figure there?
There was at one point something like 50 billion.
Whoa.
So, and I think that will probably go up. So, it's a very, very significant amount. So, this is a big, very significant position that we're in to have influence over this case. So, I'm very pleased with what our staff's done there to represent us.
Okay, let me toss a couple of others at you. I remember earlier, it wasn't summertime, there was talk about the tribe participating in a bridge project from Tulsa to cover across the Arkansas. Where's that? What happened there?
Well, after we had the flooding, we decided to pull back on that issue until there's some residual things that need to be decided by the Corps of Engineers regarding the waterway itself and the Arkansas River, and some of the things that they will allow and what they won't allow. This will be one that the next council will take up in the next administration. The preliminary studies that we had conducted, we were just beginning to do the traffic survey when the flooding hit, and so all the traffic got disrupted in that area, so we couldn't effectively do a traffic study. But the information that we had and the legal advice that we had from experts in that field said, yes, a tribe can own and operate a toll bridge, that we can do so in Tulsa County. So those were significant things, because we don't have to go to the state for that. We can work with the state, but the tribe has a right to do that. And so the other thing is that the preliminary information was that it is viable. It could provide a revenue stream for the next 60 to 75 years. And these are very much, once they're in place, it's a toll bridge, unmanned toll bridge, so it really doesn't require a lot of expense to operate. And we would have an agreement with the Turnpike Authority. But that's all on hold at this point.
Sure. And imagine you have to talk to those neighborhoods and the residents.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've been including them, the city counties, the cities, Bixby, Jinx, Tulsa, Glenpool, Tulsa County commissioners. We had meetings with a lot of different groups, but those will need to continue, and then the decision ultimately is something that, are we going to do this or not? That's what's going to face the next council and the next administration.
Let me get your assessment of finance. Where are we now? Are we in a situation where we're looking pretty good, that we've got revenue coming in, we've dealt with the liability? If you could sum that up and looking at the financial picture of the Mvskoke Creek Nation, how would you put it?
Overall, the nation's better off than we ever have been in finances. We talked earlier about healthcare. We're positive on the bottom line every month in healthcare now. The collections that we have within the last 12 months consistently are more than the appropriation that we get through our compact with the Indian Health Service. So we've exceeded the federal money with generated revenue, and we've done that consistently for like the last 12 months. That's doing well. We talked about the permanent fund and its growth. It's growing at a good, steady rate without risk. So we're doing quite well there. The federal money that we have is more than it's ever been. I think we're presently administering like 96 other grants as well. So the resources are coming in, and so we continue to make progress. When you look at the commercial enterprises of One Fire Holding and MNBE, when you look at One Fire, the last report that we had, all of the businesses except one are making money. MNBE, it's a little different picture. There's some issues that because they are 8As and some of the 8A businesses are ending, are going to be challenges. And so I think in the next year, the tribe really needs to decide, do we want to continue with that mechanism, or do we want to merge those two together? But overall, particularly with One Fire, this turned around, that's 180 degrees than it was 2 years ago. And so I'm very pleased with that. And we've even brought in an outside group. The National Council appropriated money for an outside assessment, and they've done their preliminary report. And it's I don't know if it's being posted yet, but the council members have that. And all the businesses, with the exception of one, is doing well, and the one is turning around itself. So, I think that we've made the right shift in business investments. We just need to stay the course at this point.
Let's get a question in here, more what we call it, closer to home. The charters of several communities were, what's the term, revoked, canceled, whatever, suspended. Eufaula went through it, Oklahoma City, and now Okmulgee. Is it a matter of people not taking care of the money in most of those cases, or is there something else that's perhaps a little more sinister there?
Well, I think these charter communities have their own constitution, bylaws, and leadership. Recently, under my authority that I have as principal chief, I can place them under proclamation, which is, intensive review and management, basically by the executive branch. That gives us time to go in and assist the community with revising their constitution, putting in internal controls if we need to, investigating for criminal activity if we need to. And so Okmulgee is, the latest one. The Eufaula community recently had elections, so they now have officers in place, and so, hopefully soon that one can be turned back over to the community so it can function again. And they are ongoing issues. The accountability that we have and the requirements that have been described by the National Council in legislation, are the things that we need. We need to have transparency and accountability. And I think what we're seeing is, the cost of that, because we have to, if they go out of the bounds, and stray from the requirements, then we have to step in. It's something that I don't take any pleasure in doing. I really wish that we didn't have to, but we do. But as we do that, then we assist them and make the corrective action, and then we go back. We got Oklahoma City that they're working on to have an election soon, and it's a little different there. It's out of our boundaries. And it's a state chartered corporation, so it's different than our communities within the boundaries of the nation. But the issues were very similar, so we had to step in because they were chartered, and suspend their charter and place them under proclamation. And hopefully that one will be changed here in a couple of months as well, and get things going back.
Was it accountability in all those cases? Control of the funds, the bucks.
Well. Control of the money is one aspect of it. They do submit reports, and we do audit the reports, and we require outside audits. But also just the way that they govern the communities, making sure they follow the Constitution, or if the Constitution needs to be updated or revised in any way. If it's causing severe dysfunction, then we'll step in. But our intent is to get them back and get them reorganized and functioning again. So we've done that, I think at some point in the future, council may want to take a look at that. Do we want to continue to have them operating independently, or should it be under the executive branch, staffed by executive branch employees, and making them accountable? So, another choice to be made.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question that may not come from a source that's directly connected, but we have people involved. Oklahoma's got this new gun law now, and you can carry one without training or a permit, and that's an outgrowth of the strength of a lot of people pushing on, making lots of racket. Second Amendment, does that affect us at all? I mean, has Lighthorse come to you with any concerns, or will there be guns popping up on this campus?
Well, Lighthorse hasn't brought any concerns to me, but as a matter of law, we control our properties, and so we don't allow weapons on our properties. So it really hasn't invaded us, so to speak, the way maybe it has the rest of the state, or it appeared as it has. Our Lighthorse also teaches concealed carry classes, teach people how to properly use firearms, and I think that's a very positive thing. I think they even had trigger locks and things like that. Trying to be proactive out there just recognizing that, it is a federal right, and people, if they choose, can, carry weapons, but if they bring them on the tribal property, they're subject to being stopped and those taken away from them and then being charged with something.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a good sign that every one of those classes fills up like within half an hour.
They do. The demand is there.
All right, now let's get away from all the heavy-duty stuff now. Let me ask you some personal things without getting too personal. What's it like now that you're at the end of your term? Did it really change your thinking when you first came into the job? I mean, obviously it would, but what's going on there? How do you feel about having served in this position, I guess, for the last 4 years?
Well, it's certainly been, a privilege to do, just to help the nation and to serve as the principal chief and to help citizens. That work continues. I go to bed last night. I have a text at 10:30 at night. I'm here in the office by 7. By 7:30, I'm working another case with a family who has a loved one in the hospital. They rely on the principal chief a lot of times just for big and small things. And, I will always remain concerned about them. And I think that the next chief needs to understand that, your, what I call your dashboard, it is very wide. You're dealing with a lot of things every day. So second chief and I, we meet every morning by 7:30. We've gone through, looking at who's maybe in the hospitals, who's passed away, what do we need to do, and just to help. And so I think in looking at things personally and the smaller things, you've got a lot of things going on. And we can talk about the Supreme Court case, but when we have people in hospitals and people pass away and we need to help organize the service or support them in some way with chairs and tables, we're prepared to do that. So I think those things, both, and speaking, if I could speak for second chief as well, we've really enjoyed doing. And they'll continue probably to the moment we step out of office. And that's fine. You're meeting the needs and doing, I think, what people want us to do is to help when we can. The time you entered into this position was pretty turbulent. And the demands on you have been, pretty amazing as far as I could see, just standing back. Did you ever find yourself in a position where you started to thinking, what the heck have I gotten myself into? Well, I kind of knew going in, and there was some, I think, immediate shock because some things were a little more difficult than I thought that they would be in the beginning. But I think the thing that we needed to do very quickly was to get organized and have a plan for how we're going to approach multiple issues at the same time. And that's what we did. And, I was very fortunate to have a great staff at the cabinet level that, worked hard. This job for a number of people, it's 24/7. You're every day of the week. You got multiple things going on every hour of the day, even at night. When you're sleeping, the phone's going to ring. Something's happening. So they either tell you what's going on, and usually when it rings in the middle of the night, it's not good news. And so it still means you have to address it. I think what helped me, was having the background in administration, administering hospitals that, ran 24/7. So I was kind of geared toward that. So you just kind of keep that pace. It can wear you down. This job could easily overcome you and, be like a 900-pound weight on you. But if you stay organized and stay on top of things, then I think then you can enjoy some of the benefits. The thing that I enjoy most now that I didn't appreciate, I think, in the beginning was, I know that when I first came into office and you go into meetings, there was a tenseness going on in any place that I was at. And I thought, okay, what's the anxiety here? Why are things tense? Now to be able to go to meetings or events and people are laughing just like in the old days, and having fun, getting caught up on family and how's the children doing, and and just having that community and the sense that they can be kind of liberated to just be ourselves, I think is a good thing. And I see more of that now, and I think, hey, if you can measure that I think, and measure it from early on, I think we've made a good positive difference because, in the end, it's the simple things people want. They just want to be able to enjoy life and not have to worry about things. And if we can take that worry off and have a good foundation for everybody, then I think we've accomplished what we should have.
Okay, we'll have to apologize for the interruption from the Pepsi truck there. Where do you go from now? I presume you're going to take some time off and hopefully do nothing. Where do you go?
Well, I've been in public service for since 1978. So it's going to be an adjustment because, I've been doing things for, 40 some odd years. I love it. I think that Carol and I, my wife and I will just take time to reevaluate things. Of course, I'd love to rest for a little bit and, get up at 4:30 in the morning. And most days I got used to it, but, it'd be nice to kind of sleep up until 7 or something. I wouldn't know how that feels. But I think that we'll still be involved in some way, but I think things that we really choose to be involved in and where we think will make a positive difference in ways which our contributions can, result in something significant for our people, but just in a different role. I think having a time for family, for Carol, it's our 40th anniversary this month, and so, just being able to get to know each other again, and, our children, they got careers and their spouse, and so we'd like to be a part of their careers. I was fortunate early in mine to have somebody help me, and so we'd like to be able to provide the time and assistance they may need to be successful.
In the last minute we have here, is there a final thought you want to leave us with?
I think at the end of the day, it's all good. At the end of the day, when you get ready for bed, say your prayers and everything, we love everybody, and you can feel that love from others. I really appreciate the support, the prayers, the letters, the phone calls, and everything. They meant a lot to me. So I just want to say Mado to everybody for just being there and assisting me, because it wouldn't have been successful without a lot of people behind me in Second Chief. So that's, I think on our behalf, we just want to say big Mado to everybody.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. Principal Chief James Floyd, thank you for joining me here in this position for the last time. Who knows, we may have you back, but you won't have to. You have to watch your P's and Q's there when you talk with me. So we want to say I think you did a good job. I'm pleased to have worked for you and your crew. So we want to say, Mado.
Well, thanks. And it's been a pleasure to come up here on about a quarterly basis. You've been a great person to work with, and I appreciate all the questions, and hopefully I didn't dodge any of them.
Well, I had a couple up my sleeve that I was keeping. All right, well, let's do a couple of quick announcements here. Where are we? Okay, real quick. Council House Christmas tree lighting is the 5th, 5:30 p.m., hymn singing and cookies, downtown 100 West 6th Street. Come check it out, Council House Christmas tree lighting. Christmas Carnival is on Friday the 6th at the Mvskoke Dome. Let's see, family fun, arts and crafts, games and prizes, food contest, free admission, cocoa, and pictures with Santa. Check it out on December the 6th. Time to clean out your closet. Mvskoke Nation Youth Council Clothing Drive is accepting gently used and new clothing, jackets, sweatshirts, etc., shoes, hats, gloves, and scarves for elders. Donations will be accepted until the 14th. And items can be brought to the Mvskoke Nation Youth Services Office. So give them a call, 918-549-2557. And become a 2020 Summer Youth Work Site. Even though we haven't had much of a winter yet, they're already looking ahead. They're looking for businesses within our creek boundaries to serve as host work sites. And hopefully you can give a young person a chance to find out what it's really like to have to work for a living, because get used to it, kids. You're going to have to do it for the rest of your lives. 732-7773. Applications are being taken now until January the 31st. Okay, that wraps it up for me. We gotta say Mado Mabo Hedgetscut from Gary. Adios. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.